to week 81, I think. I'm about to hop on the turbo, and it's one of those sessions that I don't really like to do, which is just underneath FTP. So I thought I'd try a slightly different tactic this week, and possibly just have a chat to you guys whilst I'm warming up, just to take my mind off of what it is that I'm going to be doing. Let me just get this all started first, and then we'll have a little bit of a chin wag. Okay, well, it's been a really good week this week. I kind of mentioned in last week's video that the strength and conditioning session that I'd done on the Saturday or the Sunday had really kind of remotivated me, and that's really carried on. Not only have I done three runs, 2 turbo sessions and 3 swims, but I've also done 2 strength and conditioning sessions, standalone sessions, along with the kind of warm-up stuff before the runs with the TheraBands, trying to get my glutes firing. So it's been a really good week. I did an FTP test on Wednesday, I think, on the bike. That was epically disappointing. But after so little training, it's hardly a surprise, if I'm honest. But the runs have been good, and in terms of managing kind of this new motivation, I've been quite keen to get out and do stuff, so I've been making sure they're relatively short. Most of the runs are between 30 and 45-minute runs, around zone 1, zone 2, nothing too full on. The bike session's been a little bit more, a little bit tougher, and the swims have been, well, relatively easy apart from Fridays, which had a bit of distance and a bit of effort in it. But this time of year is so good for kind of really focusing on technique and form, which is why I was going to spend a bit of time in the second half of this video just looking at a little bit of swim analysis from a video that I did on Wednesday. And up go the watts. So that's been the core thing, really, has been just managing this remotivation. It's been really nice to spend the day kind of thinking about what kind of training I'm going to be doing. I've actually got myself a coach. I should use the knowledge that I've got for myself sometimes, and I've written myself a bit of a plan for the next 6 weeks or so to really focus my training, but also to manage it and make sure I'm not doing too much intensity. Not only because it's been a while since I've had the motivation to do any training, but also it's just not that time of year. It is just the time of year for kind of getting out and doing some miles or some time in the pool, and really focusing the efforts on those things that can make a big difference later on down the line. And for me, my primary focus has got to be on keeping up that strength and conditioning stuff, for which I've already felt a benefit. I really feel my glutes firing now when I'm running, which is always a lovely feeling. But not just the strength and conditioning stuff, but also the form stuff, particularly with the swim. And as you'll see in the second half of this video, there's a few key pointers I think that will really be able to kind of increase that level of efficiency in my swim stroke. I'm nearly 4 minutes into this warm-up now. It might be time to turn the camera off, but if I have a good session, you'll get to see the socks I'm wearing, because they're a bit special. Anyway, see you at the end. Oh, woo! Oh, done and done. God, I was like over half an hour at FTP. God, what was I saying earlier about taking it easy on sessions? But it was only an hour, so not too long. Anyway, you want to see these socks? I nailed my numbers, so I guess you get to see the socks. Check them out. So that's me all cleaned and washed up after my turbo session. I don't think those socks ever will see the light of day in terms of being worn in public, nor will they ever become UCI legal. We're going to have a quick look at a swim technique video now from a session I did on Wednesday. Got some pretty good kind of over-the-top footage, underwater footage, less useful really because can't quite see what we need to be able to see, but I wanted to have a look and see if you guys could see the same things that I can see. I always think about swim technique when you're looking at somebody and trying to make improvements as being a little bit like detective work, really. Trying to link all the things together. It's very easy to make a list of the things that you can see that are wrong, but quite often the things that are causing those things to go wrong, and I'll show you an example in this video, may not necessarily be the thing that you ask the athlete to kind of have a look at. So there's a few things in this video that I think I'm going to be able to work on over the next kind of 6 to 8 weeks that should see a little bit of improvement in my efficiency. A lot of swim coaches use this idea of BLABT. It's sort of an acronym, although BLABT isn't really a word in itself. BLABT. The B standing for either breathing or body position, depending on which way round you want to have a look at it. So you've got breathing or body position, then the L stands for legs, then the A stands for arms, then you've got the B again, that can either be breathing or body position again, and then timing. And all those things are the kind of the order you should be looking at in terms of what a swimmer's doing. And that is quite a useful way of kind of looking at a swimmer and kind of looking at their body position or how they're breathing, and then looking at what their legs are doing, and then looking at what their arms are doing, kind of working your way through it. But it's a case of kind of linking it together, which is where the real skill, as far as I'm concerned, kind of sits. So let's take a little look at this video and see if you can spot some stuff in this that I saw. Right then, I've got a little swim analysis video on my phone here, which I'm going to just run through from the top and let you just kind of watch the whole thing through. I think it's about a minute long, and just see if you can spot some things in here. I've got a couple of things written down to have a look at anyway. Okay, so I'm swimming at about 135, 130 pace here, so you know, a decent kind of whack, but nothing too spectacularly sprinty. So let's start at the top. I don't know what you saw there, but if we have a quick look at the kind of body position, that's not too bad actually. If we look at it from this point here. You know, I haven't got really sinky legs or anything like that. Everything looks like it's in a fairly good position in terms of body position. Can always be a little bit better, but that's not too shabby. So body position is not majorly an issue there. However, if we go back to the very start of the video, we come back to here and we move down to the L of BLABT. Just take a look at my legs, and if I slow it down a little bit, you'll see that when my left and my right arm pull, you'll see there that I scissor kick. If I pull up circle here, you can see at this position here, when my hands are entering the water, you can see that my legs scissor kick. So there. So there's a kind of bigger kick taking place, which isn't something that we kind of really want. Yes, we could try and correct that, but is that the right way around of going about things? Well, as I said, this is kind of like detective work actually. So sometimes it's worth, you know, looking at everything and seeing what might be the issue that's causing me to scissor kick. And usually it's further up the chain that's taking place here. So if we've looked at body position, we've looked at legs. Now let's have a look at the arms. So if we scroll in a little bit with in terms of what the arms are doing. It kind of looks like the arm entry is okay in terms of it being quite wide, but in actual fact, my arms, when I start to pull, actually aren't very wide at all. And you can see, especially in this shot here, if I draw a line up from where my legs are, from this position here to where the centre of my back is, to where my arm is, you can see that I'm actually kind of curving my entire body in a line. Even though it doesn't look like I'm crossing a centre line, I'm kind of pivoting in my core. Now that could be a core strength thing, or it could actually just be more of a kind of actual positioning with the arms, making them wider. Let's kind of scoot through this a little bit further and you'll see what I mean. Every time I take a pull effectively and my arm enters, you'll see that I kind of snake, and that's what's causing me to scissor kick to correct my body position. In fact, if I slow it down a little bit more and just take it back a little bit, take it down to quarter speed, you'll see what I mean. So there you can see there's a kind of scissor kick, and there's one here as well, there, and each time my body's kind of just flexing and it's not staying in a perfectly straight line. Now also there is a bit of a strange kink in my left arm, which I've always kind of known about. We can kind of see that if I draw that line in there, that my hand's kind of coming in and then out a little bit, and that has a bit of a knock on in terms of the fact that under the water, if we scroll in a little bit from here, you can see that my right arm actually takes quite a nice line along. Get rid of that line that's there. You can see that my arm takes quite a nice line, but my left arm sweeps in, so hand position's okay there, but it sweeps out and then right in under the body at the end there, and that's also pushing my body line out of position. So what I need effectively to do is to have a more straight line going along along my body line, rather than it sweeping in and out. That's causing my body to snake, which is causing me to scissor kick. So there's a couple of things to work on. And then the last thing that I kind of really noticed was again from an above shot. If we have a look early on here, in terms of the very last part of the pull, if we have a look at what my hand's doing here, you'll see, if I scroll back, that when my hand exits, it's kind of flat and isn't actually giving me any propulsion. It's kind of in a straight line. You can see it there as it comes out, and you can see it with my left arm as well. As my hand comes out in this position here, it's in a straight line. It's not acting like a paddle, it's in a straight line. You can see there. So all the way from about that position there to the point where it comes out of the water there, I'm not actually getting any propulsion from my hand. So I'm actually getting a short stroke. Now, that kind of brings me on to the kind of timing of it, which we'll chat about in just a second. In terms of breathing, the breathing side of things is not too bad. I think actually this kind of slight curve in what my body's doing. If you have a look from above again, see if it's any better from this position. If you look there, my head should be in a slightly more forward-looking direction. But I also think that that's partially to do with this arm entry and it pulling my body out of line. That actually, I think if I can get my arm entering straighter, my body will be pulled in a kind of straighter line this way, rather than kind of crunching in, because my arm's kind of in this position. If my arm's coming in here, I'm kind of crunching in, whereas if I bring my arm out, I'll be stretched out. So in terms of breathing and the kind of breath side of things, it's not too bad. I think that again, this wider arm entry will help correct that. And then in terms of the timing, I do tend to swim with like a 180-degree arms. They kind of like a backstroker does. A backstroker's arms kind of do this like a windmill, rather than this kind of catch-up that we tend to normally speak about with swimmers. If you have a look, I'll kind of pull it back a bit, and you can see what I mean. Any of you that know kind of really nice kind of swim strokes, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about here. But my arm is starting to come over. Whereas actually quite often, if you look at really graceful swimmers, that arm position in the front there will actually be held out a little bit longer. In terms of the timing, you can really see the compression of my body there. In terms of this glide, not that gliding is really what we're after, but this idea of really getting that stretch out here, I think that is really to do with this arm exit that's happening here, this hand exit. That little bit of propulsion that I'm not getting from my hand there is meaning that I'm having to pull earlier with my right hand and my left hand, or whichever one's out in front, I should say, earlier, because I'm not getting that little bit of extra propulsion from my rear hand. So really it comes down to looking at three things over the next 6 to 8 months. One is kind of looking at drills to get my arms wider. I already know this is the case, but actually trying to get my arms entering that little bit wider each time, but also trying to make sure that my left arm is pulling clean through in a parallel line, getting a clean line with my left arm as well as with my right arm, trying to match that and get that kind of parallel through my body so that I'm not getting this weird kick, this weird kind of skew. And then finally, really working on extending that exit to make sure that I'm getting some propulsion there, so that I don't end up having to kind of start that pull a little bit earlier with the arm that's in front. So let's put that back up to full speed, and I'll just kind of watch it through one more time with you. And whilst you're watching it, this will be the end of the video. So I'm going to be looking at a few more kind of techniquey things and in terms of swimming over the next couple of months, because it's something I'm going to be focusing on. If you feel like watching some of those videos, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button and all that shiz. Anyway, here's the video for last, a little kind of watch through and see what you can spot.